Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Tony, and this is Dr. Tony Speaks. I just want to talk to you guys today about several reasons, or actually six reasons, why older men should date younger women. Okay, so I know that could be a controversial subject. A lot of people, especially women, do have their opinions, very strong opinions on this, and understandably so. But we're going to look at this, we're just going to take this from the male perspective today, and we're going to go from there. And look, just to be honest, a lot of these women that have opinions on why men should date, or older men should date younger women or shouldn't date them, is really because a lot of these women, they've aged out the game, honestly. And they're just bitter at this point. I'm just saying. Okay, and these, trust me, these women, when they were younger, they were doing the same thing. When they were freshmen, they were being asked out to the prom by guys that were seniors, and when they were in college, they were going with dudes who were out of college. So I don't really pay much mind to the haters. I believe in life. You should be able to do what you want to do, as long as, hey, it's legal and you're not harming, you're not hurting anyone. So that being said, guys, so let's look at what qualifies an older an older man. So the metric, or the age rather, that I'm using is 45. So by 45, we generally, if we're doing anything halfway right, we got our stuff together. It takes time for a man to build his value. We all know we're not born with our value. We're born with almost no value. So we're the ones that go off to wars and die, and then we're the expendable gender of the two. There's no one out there protecting us. We're doing the protecting. So once we build our value, it takes a while. Education, just having worldly experience, having relational experience, building up our money and everything. Generally, it's about 45 for many of us. Okay, not they can't, happen sooner or later, but on average, and that's just the age that I'm going by. So, anyways, that right there. Let's look at now. You guys, if you want to date younger women, everything in this life is still transactional, still quid pro quo. All right. You do something for me, I do something for you. We have what the other wants. Relationships are transactional. All of them are, to some degree. And trust me, the older man and younger woman dynamic can be pretty transactional too. Okay, fine. That all being said, let's look at some prerequisites, okay, for, I would say, an older man to being 45 and up to successfully date a younger woman. Let's look at the first thing. I'd say we have to try to be in shape, as good a shape as we can be. Most guys in that age range, are overweight and just out of shape to some degree, greater or less, maybe greater. And really, if you're going to be that older guy, be that older guy who's in shape, because there's so few people that are, right? Okay, so then there's another component about that we're going to talk about as well, why it's important, okay? If you start right there, that's really good. And when I say in shape, I would say, like, if your body fat can be down about 20% or less, you're probably out of a flatter belly, your clothes are fitting much better, okay? Get around 15%, I'd say, your abs are coming out. Anything less than that, I mean, look, I don't think you have to go to that extreme, okay? That's all. You'll definitely see that difference, okay, when you get there. So that's one thing. Finances, let's look at that. Let's have our finances in order. Unless we've suffered through any kind of hardships, unless we're caretakers to our older parents that are hindering our resources, or we've had a great divorce or something that's also taking our resources. If we haven't had those kind of life-altering, life-changing events that affect our finances, there should really be not much of an excuse why our finances shouldn't be where it needs to be, okay? So we want to have that in order, so we can just date without worrying about if the bill, is 100 to 100. It's nothing these days. It's $100 by yourself if you go out, 200, $300 here or there. Or if you want to take a trip, or if you want to fly a lady out or something, or do whatever, stay in a nice hotel. Yeah, we want to have our stuff in order. Next, living situation. Okay. I don't care if it's an apartment. You don't have to be a homeowner. Just have some privacy. That's all you need, okay? Sometimes we may not always be able to manage that, right? Maybe we have a caretaker in our house. I mean, maybe we're a caretaker. Maybe it's our home. We have our parents with us. Okay, that's acceptable, but hopefully it's a big enough place to have some kind of space. But try not to have any roommates. If you were doing everything right, by 45, we're in shape, the finances are in order, and we got our own place. That's just the basics, okay? And the more finances we have, the better. It just gives us more options, okay? All right. So if we're starting there, now let's just jump into the 6 reasons that I have why you should date, and you ought to be able to date a younger woman. Okay, and the things that you will enjoy about this. Okay, the first thing I'd say is youthfulness. Okay, the youthfulness, the playfulness of a younger woman. It's intoxicating. The woman's young spirit breathes life into you. Us men, the older we get, we're so exhausted with life. It's that battery, our battery is recharged with their youthfulness, their playfulness, their exuberance for life. It's a beautiful thing when you can experience that. Instead of being with a woman who is very pissed off. Yeah, maybe sometimes as pissed off as you are. No, it just it's fuel and fire. You don't want to be with a woman that's gone through a whole bunch of stuff. That's up to you. I mean, the older a person gets, the more baggage, we don't have to call it baggage. It's just negative life experiences. And we don't need that projected on us. Okay, so number one, that youthfulness and playfulness, it really feels good, and you should be able to enjoy that with a partner. Okay, that's younger. Okay. Another thing that I like is just really a new and refreshing outlook on life. It kind of coincides a bit with number one, or more being a more positive person. Just it's really nice to really just exchange ideas with a younger mind, a younger person who grew up maybe in a different perspective, has different perspectives than you, that really can help you learn more about life. A lot of times I don't want you to think we can't learn from anyone who's younger. There's lots of things we can learn too if we're open-minded, and I like that what the younger mind and the younger spirit brings to the table. Okay. Another thing here, which ties into what we talked about earlier about being in good shape, number 3 here, sex. Okay, so the sex with a younger woman, it's going to be something that obviously is going to really feel a lot different and a lot better in many ways than with a woman your age. You're going to be just naturally turned on. We're biologically programmed to want to be with younger, fertile women. Okay, and many guys in their 40s and 50s and up suffer from ED or erectile dysfunction on some level. When you're with that younger woman, all of a sudden, for some reason, it tends to go away. I don't say it for everyone every time, but definitely we're just that much more turned on. And it shows you that when we're with women who we're just really not turned on by as much because they're around our age and then they're just really not in very good shape, that it shows you that youthfulness, once again, that sexual energy and the physicality that the younger woman has, really can help us in that department area also. But see, this is why, going back to what we were talking about earlier, we want to be in good physical shape to be able to maintain good erections for quality sex. One of the things sometimes with a younger woman, if you're not up to par, so to speak, in that department, they can, they may not like it, they may not understand it, and they might get a little bit emotional about it if things don't go right there. So look, to avoid that, not all women do that. Some might, because of just their lack of maturity or lack of experience. They may take it personally, but we can avoid all of that right there, really, if we are in good health. And that's when I say good shape, meaning good health overall. We should want to be in good health either way. Okay. Number 4, I really like this one. You can show a younger woman new experiences that she hasn't seen before. Okay, now you take her to Ruth Chris, you take her to Lowry's, you take her to Fleming's or one of these top steakhouses or whatever else, wherever else is a top place in your city where you live. Different venues, lounges, stuff like that. You're creating memories with her because she has not had those experiences for you. So she ties all these positive experiences to you. Okay. So that being said, why wouldn't you want to be with a person who allows you to bring those experiences into her life and to share them together? Unfortunately, with an older woman, sometimes you want to take her to whatever restaurant. Oh, I've been there before. Or, hey, we're going to go on a trip to Hawaii. If you're with an older woman, now why we got to go to Hawaii? I've been there before 10 times. My ex-husband took me there. My side dude took me there. My boyfriend took me there. We don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it. Okay. I avoid that problem altogether by dealing with women that I can show them new experiences with. Okay, so it just makes everything that much better. And yet another reason why we should be with younger women, if you want to be. Okay, not because I or anyone. So I'm not saying you have to be. Okay, so think about that. Okay. Also, we want to be with a woman that. The last one here, we want to be with someone who looks up to us for guidance. Okay, we want to look to a woman who wants to learn more about life. Life is still new to them, and that woman trusts us enough. She literally trusts us enough to let us men, to let us as the male guide her and lead her through life. Not that of course, she's got a mind of her own. She can think for herself too. No one's implying that she can't. But it's nice for us men. We want to guide a woman in life too, that we're with. We're hoping the woman trusts us enough to believe in us, because so she or we will both be the benefactors of that man's good judgment. You see, but a lot of older women, they're competing with you, and like one of Chris Rock's comedy shows. He said you can't have two quarterbacks on the field, and you really can't in that sense. Not that the man has to be overly dominant or bearing, but I believe there has to be some structure in leadership, and a younger woman in a relationship, and a younger woman will allow that to happen. Okay, now so those are the 6 reasons why I think older men should date younger women. There's a lot of BS that you're just going to avoid. Of course, there'll be relational issues that you have to work out with anyone. I'm not saying it's all, just, perfect, but there's some just basic things we can just avoid. And those are my reasons. And so, look, I just want to say in closing, you've worked as a man. You've worked so hard in your life to get where you want to be. You should be able to be with whoever you want to be, and not let society or any of these older women or any woman or any of the feminists or anyone who's got a problem with you winning in life. You shouldn't let these people tell you can't win in life. All right? You've worked hard to get where you want to be. You have the leverage in life to do what you want to do, and don't let anyone talk you out of it or take that away from you.